Tar Heels fell at SMU last Saturday. Should we be concerned, or do we just chalk it up to, hey, that's what happens on the road in conference play?
This is Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Thursday, January 8th, 2026. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Thanks for making us your first listen or watch to get this Thursday going. And I want to give a special shout out to all you everydayers, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and our insiders as well. Coming up on the show today, we've got Big Z, Tyler Zeller, here with us to help unpack all of it. A man who quite literally has a front row seat to all the Tar Heel action, hanging out with Jones, sometimes Adam as well. Definitely, unfortunately for Adam, making him look even a little bit shorter than usual. This week, there has been no midweek game, and so it's a great opportunity to have Big Z on. Carolina is right at the midway point of the regular season. They've played 15. They got 16 more ACC games to go. It's crazy that we're already there. Heels 13-2 overall, 17th in the AP poll. So here's where Tyler and I are headed today in our three segments. Saturday's loss, a blip or bad news on the horizon, a harbinger of things to come. We will look at kind of the evolving point guard situation as we see Seth handling the ball a lot. There's kind of this three-headed thing of like what's going on there. We'll talk about it. And then we'll ultimately look at what does Carolina got to do on Saturday against Wake to get back on the horse. Thankfully, Chris Paul and Tim Duncan will not be in the building. Tyler, it's great to be with you. Happy New Year and all that good stuff. You were on the call Saturday in Dallas. Let's just go big picture with it. Was it a blip? Or was it a harbinger of what's to come the rest of the way?
We're soon to find out. I think somebody asked me the concern level right now, and I'd said a 3 or 4 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm not overly concerned until it happens again. I think then you see it. I mean, my senior year, we had a chance to win a national championship. We had some things that didn't happen. We went to Florida State and lost by 33. We got our butts kicked. My freshman year,
that was the third game of ACC play, right? That game in Tallahassee.
Yeah. And so my freshman year, we won the national championship. We lost the first 2 ACC games. We went to Wake, got beat there, not handily.
Boston College at home.
Yeah. And so I think my concern level is not high. I think this week is huge. What happens this week? You got to reevaluate. All right, we've got smacked in the face, punched in the face, whatever you want to call it. Now we got to come back and recover. And it's pretty common for teams. I think we've watched a lot of UNC teams that have had this issue early in the year. They have this week practice or over Christmas break too. And all right, let's get rolling and get into it, get in a rhythm. And all these guys have now seen ACC plays different. It's more physical. They don't call foul. I mean, SMU was very physical. They a lot of the fouls that we would have got earlier in the year, they weren't getting. And so, I think Luka's a little surprised by how physical the game is. Caleb was a little surprised just because he hasn't dealt with that yet. And we've had a couple guys earlier in the year that tried to be that physical. They just weren't talented enough to do it. SMU had enough people. They could run multiple people at you that just kept being physical. So I'd call it a blip right now. I think we're going to see very soon. There's so many teams with the new scheduling that you're going to play some top teams and then some really bad teams. California and Stanford are both teams that have not played a lot of great teams. So coming up, I cannot figure out how good they are. Like, and I mean, even like Notre Dame, they found a way to beat Notre Dame, and Notre Dame, I feel like they're okay. They're not great, but they're also games where they'll blow out somebody. And I'm like, maybe they are good. Their record says they are. And so we'll see. This is a tough stretch coming up. Wake Forest at home, and then you got to go to Stanford and Cal. And then turn around and play Notre Dame after flying cross country. So the next 4 will be very telling.
Tyler, let me go back to what you were saying about your bookend seasons there, because your freshman year, as you said, Carolina starts out 0-2 in ACC play, ultimately winds up 13-3 overall, meaning you guys went 12-1 the rest of the way. And I know you were on the shelf for a lot of that. And then, as you said, your senior year, Heels start off 2-1. The wins, ironically enough, against Boston College and Miami. The obliteration at Florida State. That was on a Saturday. I can vividly remember that because I was like, what is happening here to the Heels? But then similarly, you guys finished that season 14-2. So when you're at this moment, when you're sitting there 1-1 and like, what just happened in Dallas? What is the mindset? And then how do you just stay the course? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think the mindset is you got to fix it. You got to come together. You even go back to my junior year, we had a game, we went to, I think, Georgia Tech and got our butts kicked, turn around and played Clemson 2 days later. And we had a meeting and basically it was like, guys, this is on us. Like, coach isn't going to give us the answers. Coach isn't like, we got to play harder. We got to come together. We're talented enough. Let's do this. And I think that's when bad things happen, you either grow stronger or you fall apart. And I think most Carolina teams have always shown we go closer, we go tighter, and we just continue to grow. And hopefully in March, you're playing at peak level. And so with the way we've played this season, playing some not so good teams and playing some really strong teams, you don't have the strength of schedule that you had last year. And I think so you're starting to see, all right, these are really good teams. This is the first time Caleb's seen it. Derek's seen it. Veesaar for ACC play, all those guys, this is all new. And so it's part of why Seth Trimble's our leading scorer in ACC play right now. He knows what's going to happen. He makes things happen. Obviously, him making a couple threes helps tremendously with that. But at the same time, he knows what was coming, whereas some of the other guys don't. So this week off, I think there's going to be a high competition in practice. Some of those questions should be answered, but also I think the coaches are going to set up many scenarios of like, all right, this is how they're going to double. This is what we're going to do. This is how we adjust. This is how we double pick and roll. And so you're more prepared for next time. As we saw in SMU, we were a little shaken by some of the stuff they did.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, that Georgia Tech to Clemson was around the time that Larry was kind of outgoing as the point guard and Kendall was taken over. Was that around that same period?
It was. My 21st birthday was the day in between those two games. So it was a tough day.
That's wild, Tyler.
I told Coach Williams that, and he goes, yeah, that wasn't a good day for any of us. I was like, yeah, this is a good point. So, but yeah, that was in that transition. I believe, I could be wrong on this. I believe the Georgia Tech game was Kendall basically had started to take over, and Clemson is when he officially did.
Yeah. Okay. I was remembering it was somewhere around in there. I'll have to go back and look, but that makes a ton of sense. One other question back, what you said about the fouling and being tougher. Like I remember there was a play Saturday where I thought Derek Dixon, it was a play where a foul would have been called earlier in the season. And I said, gosh, I hate that. And yes, exactly. Yep. That's exactly right. And I said, I wish that foul had been called, but at the same time, that's Derek learning how much tougher he's got to be with the ball. A, is that a fair assessment from me? And then B, you talked about Seth and his experience with that. So what would then Seth's messaging, or if it was you, be to the team of like, all right, boys, you've seen it. Here's how much tougher you got to be now because they ain't calling that same stuff they called in non-con play.
Yeah, I think one of the things, being at practices yesterday, Coach told him, don't call fouls unless it's completely obvious. Wow. And the blue team went after him. I mean, they were physical. They were pushing. They weren't trying to hurt anybody, but they were getting in guys. And obviously the white team is the starters. They're more talented. But they were letting a lot of stuff go. And I think it was great. Even fighting over pick and rolls, they were pushing their way around. And I think just getting that mentality of, all right, I'm not going to get the call. Still got to make something happen. Whereas sometimes you go up a little lackadaisical or a little looser. You're like, well, I'll get fouled and I get 2 free throws. And then all of a sudden you don't. And it's like, all right, game, you got to continue to play. Yeah. And so I think just changing that mindset goes a long ways, but also now coach is like, hey, you're not going to get that call. And it goes a lot further in practice because we've seen what happens in ACC play. Both of the 2 games, Florida State was not quite as physical, but they were still trying to be that physical. They just weren't as talented as SMU. That said, SMU is extremely talented. They got 4 to 5 guys who can really go. And I feel like for me and a lot of college teams, the hardest people to guard are teams that not 1 or 2 really, really talented guys. This is guys who got 3, 4, 5 guys who can score at a high level because you can't put Seth on one guy.
That's right.
Like, yeah, Boopy Miller made the most things happen, but you still got Washington and Edwards and all those guys just standing around. And as soon as you collapse on him, it's a 3. Whereas if you collapse on a normal person with only 1 or 2, you hit out and maybe it's a 30% 3-point shooter. You can live with it.
Yeah, man. And Yigitolu takes up space there in the middle. I remember Carolina pursuing him in the offseason before he went to SMU. Yeah, that offense, I cautioned that was the best offense Carolina would have seen to this point, and boy, did that unfortunately come to fruition.
Yeah.
That said, Tyler, let me ask you one more question about the defense, and then we'll move on. The defense, at least statistically, has been so good to that point. Even after the SMU game, still third nationally in 2-point field goal percentage defense, still sixth nationally in overall field goal percentage defense, obviously had held every team prior to SMU under 75 points. Was it kind of like, were those numbers masking some things? Like what is real? The first 14 games, the SMU game, or somewhere in between?
So you had the second half of the Michigan State game, the first half of the Kentucky game that were both similar. I think we're kind of hitting that point where, Ohio State, we played great defense. The second half of the Kentucky game, we played great defense. Same thing with the Kansas. So you have two different defenses that are happening at the same time. And I think you have to figure out, all right, can we play at this level continuously? Or are we going to be a little lax in the first half, let them go on these runs? Or I think SMU, the thing they did, which I can't believe I'm going to say this, they are used to playing extremely fast. And we tried to play as fast as them, but we don't play enough people.
No.
And so I think we've done a really good job of controlling pace, taking advantage of opportunities when we can get out in the fast break. But in the half court, we've been good. And I just think we tried to play so fast that Caleb Wilson and Veesaar were tired by the end of the game. And same with Trimble. I mean, you got him chasing Boopy Miller the whole game while trying to run, and you just can't maintain that over 38 minutes or 35 minutes, whatever they're going to play at that speed. Whereas SMU's playing 9, 10, 11 deep. It's a lot easier to be able to rotate those guys. So I think you just got to be careful, opportunistic in transition, but also not, or play more people. Like you got to have one or the two either. And it just, like I said, I can't believe I'm saying that about North Carolina.
No.
The other team actually plays faster, but they did. And they've shown they can.
That's right. Well, to your great point, Carolina right now is 236th nationally in adjusted tempo at KenPom. SMU's like top 115, like just between 100 and 115. And so, I mean, it was like, okay, don't let yourselves get sped up, which is so weird to say about the Carolina basketball team. Speaking of speeding up, go ahead.
A year or two ago, we went to Virginia and we played their speed and beat them. It was the wildest thing. I thought we'd try to run them out of the gym, and we slowed it down and we beat them at their own speed. So we've shown we can do it. Now we just got to be smart about when we do it.
Well, everybody get ready to play a brand new Virginia team in a couple weeks because this ain't no Tony Bennett. I'm just telling you all that right now. Buckle up. Now, speaking of Carolina running, and I can envision Roy Williams' arms swinging back and forth just like Coach Davis's, and it's all because of the point guards usually. Well, right now, Carolina's point guard situation a little bit in flux. Coach Davis, as always, is pretty tight-lipped about it. How is it going to play out? We'll get Tyler's takes on that in just a second. Right after I tell you about Rocket Money, let's be real, you all. Managing your finances can honestly feel overwhelming between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month. It's easy to feel like you're losing control. And honestly, who has time to track every transaction or hunt down all the hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in. It's the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, it monitors your spending, and it helps you lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. The automatic transaction categorization is an absolute game changer. I can finally see exactly where my money is going each and every month. Basically, you set budgets, you set goals, you get personalized insights, and you can receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, and low balances. It even consolidates it all into one easy single dashboard to get a clear view of your entire financial picture. So let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join right now at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Once again, that's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listener watch of the day. Thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network out there. Want to encourage you as well to check out the brand new Everydayers Club. You can find the link for that in the show notes. It's great. All right, Tyler, we got to talk about the point guard situation. It's funny, we just looked back to your junior year and that moment around your 21st birthday where if you weren't already driven to drink, the whole changeover from Larry Drew to Kendall Marshall might have done the same. Now, Tyler, I don't think it's any secret that Carolina seems to be still searching a little bit here, because it is some combination of Kyan Evans. Derek Dixon was coming on a little bit for a while. That maybe feels like it's cooled a little bit, but Seth, each of his 4 games back, has had the ball in his hands more and more and more and more. So here's how I want to ask it to you. In your mind, does the guy need to be established, or is it okay, as Coach Davis talked about on his media availability this week, just kind of, I'm not going to name a point guard. I'm just going to let whatever happens happen. Where are you at on that?
I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I think we don't have a Kendall Marshall or a Raymond Felton or a Ty Lawson who needs the ball every time to come up because they're going to be our best playmaker. We have so many playmakers across the board. I love Seth Trimble getting the ball off the board and just going. Caleb Wilson, same thing. Like he's had a couple hit aheads that have been really good. Jonathan Powell has come along really well, running the floor, getting out in transition. I think one of the interesting parts for me is the backup 5 has dictated a lot of guard play, because Jarin Stevenson was supposed to be a 3. He's now slid to the 4 or 5, whatever you want to call it. And so that's opened up those 3 guard positions. And so now we're sliding a Jonathan Powell, Bogavac, to the 3. You got Trimble, Evans, Dixon, a lot of different people you can kind of plug in there, but you're trying to fill those positions because you need Stevenson as a big.
Right.
And so I think it's changed a lot of the dynamics of who you have at point. And honestly, I really liked Trimble handling the ball, and you put Dixon and Evans in the corner. Theoretically, they're both, Dixon has shown he can shoot. Evans is career a very good shooter. I haven't seen it yet. I'd love to see him make a few more, but I think it's coming. Stevenson, same thing, and he made 3 in the last game. Hopefully that'll continue to progress. And so we have so many things that are kind of in flux, but also so many things that can, if you hit your stride, all of a sudden we take off and we're a totally different team. If Stevenson continues to hit 3s, Jonathan Powell starts to hit 3s at a better level, Evans hits 3s, it basically around a 3-point shooting. But I think we gotta, but the thing I will say is, like, Evans has a better rapport with Veesaar in the pick and roll. He's really good at that. I think he struggles a little bit against bigger guards and the pressure. SMU, their pressure was unbelievable at half court. They were able to meet you there. I think Derek Dixon has a bigger body, can handle the pressure better. He's a freshman, and he had a couple freshman moments. I think it just happens. He's going to continue to get better and better, though. And then you got Trimble, who has done it all. He's big, he's strong, he's physical. He's not going to get rattled. He can't shoot 3s, but he can get downhill. I say that he made 3 in the last game, and I hope he continues to do that. But it's not something that, like, I'm going to say he's a fantastic 3-point shooter. What he is fantastic at is getting to the rim, and when he's open, he can knock down a 3. So all that said, I think rotating those guys through is very feasible. You can have Dixon bring the ball up the floor one time and then have Trimble bring it up the next time. But in my ideal scenario, whoever gets a rebound to just push as hard as they can, get it up. Bogavac has been good at times when he's under control and he's doing what he can do. He's really good coming off pick and rolls and making plays. And when he doesn't force it, sometimes he gets, I think, a little overeager. I don't know if that's the right word. And he forces it a little too far. And then it seems sporadic. So all that said, I think we're going to continue to rotate point guard, because depending on who the play is, it can change so much. You might move your point guard to the wing and run a quick Iverson cut over the top to run into a side pick and roll. So it just depends on who you want, where they want them, and that can dictate who brings the ball up the floor.
I'm not asking you to tell me what Hubert Davis is doing. I'm asking you to tell me what Tyler Zeller would do. Would you continue to because one of the things that Coach Davis has done has stuck with Kyan Evans as the starting guard. And then you've got, Seth, as you mentioned, Seth moving back into the starting lineup, has moved Jarin to the backup big since James Brown and Jaydon High really haven't been able to rise to the occasion. That's the move you had to make. I know a lot of people were like, send Luka to the bench, keep Jarin. Well, it wouldn't have worked because you need Jarin having those backup minutes, and you got more guards. So that all makes sense. It works. That said, if you were handling lineups and things, would you continue to trot out the same starting 5, or would you mix it around some? How would you look at handling that? Basically, how long would you stick with Kyan Evans?
So I'll start with Bogavac. Bogavac has been a trickier one to me because his potential is so high. He has the potential to score 20 points, but he also has the potential to turn the ball over. And so, he's a hard one to know. I think confidence coming to America and all that, I think it's really good that, you got to find him minutes and find him places. But Jonathan Powell has been really, really good. I think he's defensively, he's staying in front of his man. His defensive assignments, he's been really good. I'd like to see him make threes at the 40% rate that he made last year. But he has been overall, I tell people all the time, yes, the 3-point thing is what he's supposed to do, but he deserves to be on the court based on everything else he is doing. Same with Jarin Stevenson. I mean, he impacts the game continuously in so many ways.
Yes.
To go to the point guard position, I think I like Evans. Evans has been there. He's done it. He theoretically is more veteran. He knows the game. He's going to be able to handle the physicality better. I think, SMU's physicality, and they just have some of the best hands in the country. The one that they just stole the ball out of his hands the first play of the game. I don't think he was ready for that kind of pressure. But most nights you don't have that kind of pressure. And so I think he's a solid guard. I think Derek Dixon has more potential in the long run.
Okay.
I think he's going to continue to get better. I think Kyan Evans is a little more, not that he doesn't have potential. I think he's done it for longer. So you kind of know more what he is. Whereas Derek Dixon, he's got a bigger body. He's taller. He can handle more physicality. He just hasn't seen it yet. And so to our point earlier, we had the play at the top of the key against SMU where he just got the ball taken from him and he looked a little bit like a freshman, but he's shooting the ball at an incredibly high rate. Yeah. He's making the right play. He's doing the things he needs to. And then I think really, to me, at the end of the day, whoever guards better is going to play. Yeah. Like if Evans or Dixon, and most nights you see that, Dixon, when we have a bigger team, they'll switch everything. And Dixon will get to play more because he's able to guard that switch better. Evans sometimes gets down in the post and gets buried, and it's over.
Well, and especially late in the game, if it's similar to baseball, if you're making some defensive substitutions, you might have the big three along with some combination of Stevenson or Powell or Derek Dixon, and that gives you some length and switchability in that regard as well. And so that makes sense. Tyler, something that just occurred to me as you were going back to that Dixon possession where he lost it is he faced similar defensive pressure out front against Florida State, was able to escape it. And that was the play where he left to Caleb breaking from the right wing for that tomahawk dunk. So we've seen him just the game before that escape a moment like that as well. And so he's got that capability. We'll see what happens.
And that's a freshman thing. He's just going to continue to learn. Like sometimes he's going to make the perfect play. Other times he's going to struggle. I think every freshman does it. I mean, that's part of that. I don't think people realize the jump, even from high level high school basketball to major Division I basketball, is extremely high. And it takes a while. Caleb Wilson is a very rare person. You have 3 to 5 of those guys every year that come in and impact at Division I immediately. The majority of people, and it may be higher than that, but the majority of people not struggle, but it takes them a year to acclimate. And then the second year is when they really take off.
Yeah, I think about Harrison as a great example of that. Harrison Barnes, came in the first ever preseason freshman All-American and didn't quite live up to the lofty expectations that were quite frankly foisted upon him. That's not his fault. But then, boy, that sophomore year, he really made a jump.
And he had a couple games that freshman year, though, that were absolutely incredible. I mean, he won us a few games. But like you said, the consistency doesn't show up till that second year when you can really know what's coming.
All right. Well, after a week off of playing, Carolina back at it Saturday, hosting Wake Forest. How do they get back into the win column? How do we get things back? Coming up in just a second. Coming up on Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern time on ACC Network, Carolina hosting Wake Forest. Usually I would tell you to turn the sound down and listen to Jones and Tyler, but this Tyler will not be on the call, so just keep it up. But when they head out to California, you can turn it down and listen to Biggs. No, I'm just kidding. You want to hear Tyler Hansbrough as well. Make sure
Tyler's great.
He's awesome. He's incredible. What a guy. I texted him I was driving through Poplar Bluff the other day, and I was like, bro, I'm driving through Poplar Bluff. Anyway, it's crazy.
How'd you end up in Poplar Bluff of all places?
It's so from where I live in Southwest Missouri, I drive straight through it on the way to my parents' house in Tennessee. So
makes sense.
Yeah. I've driven through Poplar Bluff a lot in my life, and it's like, Hansborough Haven. Here we go. So anyway, there you go. Psycho T on the call, Tar Heel Sports Network. It'll be great. Make sure you listen to those guys and tune in. But Tyler, the big question, obviously Carolina coming off the loss at SMU. It stinks as a player because then you got to stew on it for a week and have a bunch of practices where you're just getting run to death and trying new stuff. And as Coach Davis said, working out both sides of the court. But obviously we talked about the defense. But one of the things I want to look at, Tyler, is it felt like SMU neutralized the front court as well as just about anybody has. And yet Henri still had 14-6. Caleb still had 13-7. But for them, that is not their usual level of production. Carolina needs that usual level of production from both of these guys to win. How do they have to adjust to get back to what they've been typically doing this season?
I think I got to give SMU a lot of credit for that. Yigatolo, he's huge. And I think that's the first guy that Henri's played against that has actually been big and long and strong and enough to be able to neutralize his length. I think usually even if he's undersized and he's maybe not be as strong, he's usually taller and he can use his length. And then I think the other part is SMU did a fantastic job on Wilson. They double teamed early, and then we adjusted and started pulling him off the block to make the double team further. And then they just started sending a guy to strong side of the lane. And so I think their continuous adjustments were really good against him. And really, I would have liked to see Caleb attack a little more against that. But when he did the one time, they took a charge on him. And so it discourages a young guy and even an older guy. When I was playing, once you get a charge, it's hard to just put your head down and go. And so you got to give them a lot of credit. I think our adjustments, they're working on posting up deeper. Can't double team if you got 2 feet in the lane, it's just catch and go up. And so working on some of those things, getting to the right places, playing more physical in practice, getting used to being fouled and not getting calls. And I think all of those will be a thing this week, but also having a week off, they're going to probably mix up some lineups. They're going to compete. They're going to get after each other. They're going to, they have enough time to have some competitive practices that are more equal than playing against the walk-ons. And not to say the walk-ons aren't good, but they're not as good as some of the other guys. So you have some more, some better matchups and to get after it. So I am excited to see where they come out of this. It hurts when you lose. And as competitors, you wouldn't make it to North Carolina basketball if you're not a competitor. So you're going to want to come out. You're going to want to prove you should be there. And I'm excited to see what happens. Hopefully the bigs can get rolling again. If we can get in transition, it makes it a lot easier on them. And if we make some threes.
Yeah. Tyler, aside from the front court, because that's where I led you first, are there other specific things, changes, differences, or just like, hey, get back to this that you're looking for, whether it's more from the front court, the wings, the back court, whatever it is?
I think just getting back to being solid on defense. I think there's very few things that were big. I think a lot of little things like Caleb Wilson guarding a very good shooter in Washington. A couple times he would take an extra step inside trying to get the ball, and the ball immediately went to Washington. And he made a three. And it wasn't that Caleb was wrong, just knowing that, hey, he's a really good shooter. He's actually okay shooter, but on that night,
on
he's
that
a
day,
really good shooter. Yeah. And so realizing, all right, he's hit 2 or 3, like I can't take that step, or I got to be there early. It's called a two-way hedge. You can't step this way and then get back. Like you got to be there and ready to close. And so very little things that make a big difference. And obviously I'm picking on Caleb here, but Caleb was a very good one-on-one defender. And I think SMU put him in a position where he had to play that weak side, and he wants to go help. He wants to go block shots, as we've seen him do so many times, and it's fantastic when he does. But they put him in a situation where he couldn't do that. And so he's fighting that instinct of like, all right, the ball's right there, go get it. And that's what he's so good at. And so I think just being more aware of those kind of things. But again, SMU had 4 to 5 guys who can score the ball at a high level. That's hard to guard. You can't take away 1 or 2 people, neutralize them, and you win. Like we tried to slow down Boopy Miller, and all of a sudden he's facilitating to everybody. And then we decided, okay, well, he's doing that, so let's just go one-on-one with him. And then he started scoring the ball, and he shot the ball at an incredibly high level. He's not going to do that every night. So I think to get back to winning, you got to play harder. I think we played hard, but at the same time, I think you can play a little harder, play at a smart speed. So take advantage of those fast break opportunities, get the rebound and get out. If you don't have it, pull it out, get into a set, get Caleb the ball, and let him make the magic that he's been doing all year.
Man, that's a good word. And I love you talking about those little things. It's amazing how in highlights one step in the wrong direction and you're cooked. One help off when you shouldn't, and somebody's burying a three from beyond you, and all of those little things add up to a 14-point loss. And so one nick or cut here or there, but death by 1,000 cuts will get you all the time. Tyler, one quick question on the way out that I've been wondering about from you. Long term, are you more concerned about Carolina's free throw shooting, 68.5%, 285th in the nation right now, or three-point shooting, which is 33.6%, 179th in the nation? If one of those is a bigger concern to you long term, which is it?
Free throws, I think. I think we get to the free throw line at a high level. We're extremely talented. We're athletic. We're, teams are SMU. We didn't get a lot of calls. You're going to get some calls most nights. And so you got to be able to make those, especially from guys who historically are good free throw shooters. So Caleb Wilson's one of them, who I think he's a better free throw shooter than he's shown. And I think some of it, the physicality, and maybe he's a little more tired or he's just got more going on. But I think his free throw numbers will continue to climb. He's just too good to not have that. So, but at the end of the day, that's an easy place to steal points. If you're a mid 70% free throw shooting team, you got a really good chance of winning most nights, as well as it steals another 4 to 8 points on any given night. And so that's more concerning to me. I think the other one that's concerning to build on the 3-point percentages are the wide open threes. What percentage are you shooting on those? Yeah, there's times where, late shot clock or whatever, just things happen, or a hard challenge, you take a bad shot. Like, I'd like to see him shoot 30+% on those, but the wide open ones, we got to be able to make above 40% and be able to carry that into March. Because if you're making those, it's hard to beat people. We're too talented inside. You're going to get wide open shots. You just got to be able to knock them in.
Yeah, there's too much gravity from those guys, and got to be ready and prepared, and we'll see what happens there, man. Great insight, Z. I appreciate you so much. Everybody, Saturday, we will get ready. Tomorrow's show, Friday's show, will be a full preview of the Wake Forest game to get to know them, their personnel. My Four Corners preview will have the big shady stat of the game to watch for and all that to get you ready for the weekend. As always, we will be live on YouTube right after the game on Saturday. Again, Tyler Hansbrough, I should specify, on the call with Jones for that one. And then this Tyler on the call out in California next week, where both Carolina and Duke travel out to NoCal for their first 2 games at both Cal and Stanford. One of the best scorers in the ACC is a freshman at Stanford. So get ready for that. He is an absolute dude. All right, you all. Big thanks to Tyler. If you haven't subscribed to the show already, both on YouTube and audio, do it now so you don't miss a second of Locked on Tar Heels. If you haven't joined the brand new link is in the show notes, as is the link for the Locked on Tar Heels Discord, a great community of Tar Heels fans. It's free. It's a place where you can come and feel safe to be you and not worry about people dumping all over you, because I won't stand for it. All right, you guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.